We've had a chance to sleep on the fact that Shohei Ohtani is never going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. We were all led astray. We were bamboozled. We thought that this could be it. This could be the year where the Jays attract a huge free agent and then turn the entire franchise around. But it was not the case. He ended up signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we're going to break our theories as to why we think that happened on this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Still a lot of offseason left for this Toronto Blue Jays organization. Still a very good team that they have in place. So let's not lose sight of the fact that they're a good team. They won 89 games last year with a lot of people underperforming when they should have been doing a lot better. So the Jays team is positioned well to have success, at least this year and the year after that. Beyond that, we're not exactly sure, but at least for the next 2 years, we're going to have a very competitive team. And with a couple of additions, I'd even say a World Series contending team. But now you don't need just one addition in Shohei Ohtani. You need two, three, maybe even four additions to this roster to really complete it and make it that World Series juggernaut that we all believe it could be. So, Nick, it's disappointing, but it's going to be a quick pivot now for Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, and I think they can get it done. They've been very aggressive in previous off seasons. I think they will make the subsequent moves to make this team better. But it does sting a little bit, but we do have to move on. Can't dwell on this.
Yeah, this will probably be the last video covering the major Ohtani sweepstakes. Before you do that, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. About 80 or 70% of you guys aren't. Now, Peter, there is a lot of reports that have come out, and we'll kind of just go over them and, like you said, come up with our own theories about why we think he left. There's some crazier reports than others. Ken Rosenthal came out with some tweets, and I'll just start with a couple of these. So this is one of the key points, according to Rosenthal and some athletic guys, into why Ohtani chose the Dodgers, and it was the farm system. And it basically says when Ohtani visited the Dodgers, he made a point to emphasize the farm system. Dodgers have the 6th best. The Jays have the 25th best farm system. Now, Peter, again, at this point, it's all speculation, but there is a lot of reports coming out highlighting different reasons why. And there's also this report saying that, you know, the Dodgers were very uncomfortable when we had that stream with the plane and everything was going on. The Dodgers became uncomfortable and ultimately paid upwards of $100 million more than their original offer was to get Shohei Ohtani. Is that true? We probably don't know, and we won't know officially, I don't think, really ever, if they're ever going to reveal that. But it seems like the Jays ultimately had pressure the Dodgers at the very least. There's some talks about leverage, whether they were used as leverage. I'm starting to think so a little bit more. But Peter, what are your thoughts after seeing all this news?
Well, I believe that the farm system thing is very accurate because he just signed a 10-year deal.
Exactly.
So he's not going to be playing with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts for 10 years. He's probably going to have to play with guys that are in the minor league system right now. So he wants to know where the future is looking like. Whereas for the Jays, their future is a little bit more uncertain, but the ability and the chance to win in the next 2 years, I believe, could have been better with the Jays just because of the pitching staff that they would have been able to offer to him. But anyways, when it comes to the Jays being used as leverage, I choose not to believe it because why wouldn't Toronto be considered by a big-time free agent? Why shouldn't a city like Toronto that is so multicultural, that is so diverse, that has so much great food, that has so many great people, why shouldn't a city like that be considered heavily by one of the more prized free agents we've ever seen in sports history? Baseball isn't played in December and January and February. It's not cold in the winter time when the Blue Jays play their season at the Rogers Center. You know, they're a legitimate star attraction, and I want to believe that. We shouldn't have an inferiority complex as Canadians and wonder why no one wants to come here. Guys do want to come here. Kevin Gausman came in here after posting a sub-3 ERA with the San Francisco Giants. George Springer signed here on a 6-year deal after winning a World Series MVP with the Houston Astros. Kevin Gausman even took less money to come and play in Toronto. Everyone that has stepped foot here and has played for the Blue Jays for at least a couple of seasons can attest to how great of a city it is, how amazing the fan base is, how knowledgeable the fan base is. And I don't want to believe that the Jays were used as leverage. I want to believe that they were a legitimate contender for Shohei Ohtani. But when I look at that dollar figure, $700 million, I believe that was just too rich for Rogers. And they said, no. At what point do we say, okay, this is not smart. We shouldn't be doing it? $700 million. is a ridiculous amount of money, nearing $1 billion Canadian, which Rogers would have had to pay him. And for one guy, it may not have even been enough to get the Jays over the hump. So I don't know. I'm not going to believe that the Jays were used as leverage. I think they're a great destination for any free agent, and I think they just fell short.
Yeah, it's very possible as well. I think ultimately where I stand on it, if anyone's wondering, is that I think Ohtani wanted to be a Dodger, all things being equal, and then when the Dodgers went ahead and made that huge offer to Shohei Ohtani, it kind of put them over the top. I mean, $700 million is wild, and this is from Ben Nichols and Smith. It basically says whatever route the Blue Jays pursue, agents may read their bid for Ohtani as a sign they have money to spend and negotiate accordingly, which will test the club's discipline and will a desire to flip the page from Ohtani pursuit with a quick addition to the recast the offseason. It's a very good point as well. However, I think it's important to note that Ohtani money does not equal Cody Bellinger money, Yamamoto money, because it's a completely different beast. Ohtani generates you a lot more money than those guys, so that's interesting. And then finally, fans of all the losing bidders, the Cubs, the Giants, etc., and the Blue Jays, of course. Most importantly, it was a brutal, I guess, shot to the chest. And this is the final thing from Ken Rosenthal, which kind of gained some huge traction, Peter. I'm just quickly curious about this. He basically goes on to say that the platform for Ohtani in Toronto would have been smaller. It's a wonderful city, but the television ratings, goes on to say all this. I don't really know how much that really affected Ohtani's decision. I don't think he was personally thinking about that. I think literally it came down to he wanted to be a Dodger. The Jays put their best offer on the table. They made him think about it twice, but I think he always wanted to be a Dodger, and a part of that resonates with me because of all these. There's no opt-outs. He backloaded the contract. It all kind of pointed to him maybe wanting to be a Dodger from the start. But either way, the Jays did all they could, and you cannot be mad at Ross Atkins for this. I cannot stress that enough.
That really makes my blood boil, man, when I read that article. He couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, LA is one of the biggest cities in the country, but half the country is going to be sleeping when Shohei Ohtani steps up to the plate in the first inning. So how exactly is that going to grow the game more than having a guy own an entire country, having an entire country root for him? I mean, the Jays are not some small market team. I don't know why they keep getting pegged as a small market team by these American reporters who think they know everything about what goes on north of the border. They don't know anything about what goes on in Canada. They don't know how big of a city Toronto truly is. It's the fifth biggest city in North America. Like, it's no joke, man. It's no joke. So when I read stuff like this, that the platform would have been smaller, how exactly would the platform have been smaller? I guarantee you there are more fans across the country, across the world, that are Jays fans than Dodger fans in the state of California. So whatever, man. He can think whatever he wants to think, but that's just a load of BS, in my opinion. Ken Rosenthal, whoever has been reporting on this, they've done a good job. They haven't really leaked much information, but when I read stuff like that, it goes back to my point earlier. Why should we have to feel inferior just for being in Canada? Why should we be put at a disadvantage because we're Canadian? Why don't we deserve to have great players come here and play? We've had great players come here and play. They've loved their time here. Why is that not enough of a testimony to prove to other free agents that this is the place to be? This is a great place to be. And why can't the reporters understand that? It's because they want their LA markets, they want their New York markets, they want their Chicago, their Boston markets to thrive, and they want to leave Toronto in the dust, and they feel threatened by us. And that's the way it is.
Yeah, and again, I don't agree with it either. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially he almost words it as if Ohtani's changing the location that he's playing in, even though he's still staying in Los Angeles. So stuff will stay the same regarding on that front. Obviously, the Dodgers are a bit of a bigger team, but ultimately, I think a variety of factors led Ohtani to the Dodgers, and whether you want to believe the Jays were used as leverage or not is up to you. I think at the end of the day, it's a good sign for Jays baseball going forward. It might not be a great sign for the rest of this offseason, but I think in general, you can't be mad at Ross Atkins, and you can be happy with the fact that I don't know. Ross Atkins did his best. But that'll wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And Peter, we're moving on. It's another day tomorrow. And hopefully, hopefully we can go ahead and turn the page with a big Ross Atkins move.